everybody. It is you a live show anyway. It is Friday, September 16th, 2016. This is Radio Tokyo. I'm Jonathan, and today we are doing the most amazing show out of every show ever done. We're going to be talking about curdling milk and making cheese and the various types of milks you can use and the cheeses that you can make out of those curdles and the whey and everything like that. And this is all entirely Nick's idea. This is entirely Nick's decision to talk about making cheese on Radio Tokyo.
I'm so excited for this. I mean, who does not love cheese? It has been proven that cheese is almost as addictive as drugs, or as addictive as drugs. And, we all want to be drug makers ourselves, so we're here to support everyone and their cheese making desires.
But look, I think before we get into the process of making cheese that I know you and I use at home, I think we need to go into a history of cheese and where it came from, the first culture to use it, and discussing, possibly, I don't know, just as quickly as possible, like maybe the next 15 minutes, the different tastes of these cheeses and compare them to modern ones.
I mean, not only that, but we have to talk about cheese from different animals. I mean, you have goat cheese, you have cow cheese. There's just cheese has like infinite possibilities, and it's as extensive as wine, and it
Which
really
convenient,
deserves
which is
more.
convenient because cheese often does pair very well with wine.
It does, and I mean, a cheese connoisseur and a wine connoisseur. I mean, how often are they paired together? Because they fit. And you know what? Sometimes it's good to be fancy. It's good to be fancy.
It is, but see, with cheese, you don't always have to be. Fuck it. We're not doing this. I mean, this is easily the greatest joke leading we've ever had. But no, we're talking about World of Warcraft Legion today because seriously, who in their right mind, other than maybe me, maybe Nick, would want to listen to people talk about cheese for an hour?
I mean, it's kind of sad and true that we would not mind listening to people talk about cheese for an hour.
Actually, I totally would fucking do a show about cheese. I really would.
I, I would too. I feel like we should do this in the future at some point.
But, well, we could just skip talking about Legion today and talk about cheese.
I'm tempted, but I don't think we've prepared properly enough for our discussion of cheese. I mean, we haven't even made a list of cheeses to cover. There's so much that we would need to research and prepare for that show.
I would actually be playing the Illidan clip right now, but I was not prepared.
See, we were not prepared for this joke actually becoming something real. Just like we're not prepared for Chris Metzen leaving, maybe.
Hey, look,
Not.
look. Can we hold off the heartbreak and sadness for like maybe 5 minutes? Just please, just maybe.
It's what we do. It's what we do. We break
No,
people's
no,
hearts
it's
and
what I
whatnot.
do. That's my job. It's supposed to be my job to ruin everyone's life,
Well,
especially yours.
then what am I here for? What am I here for?
You're here for whatever robots
To
do.
make people. I'm here to make people feel good and give them hope in their life. Is that what you're saying?
No, you are here for manual labor, and if you're in Japan, sex.
What? I never agreed to this. We need to review my contract. I
Nick,
mean,
Nick,
well,
we all know what the Japanese use their robots for.
I mean, depending on my clients,
We
I might be
all
okay
know
with
what
it.
the Japanese use their robots for. Let's not play games
Build
here.
cars?
Let's not pretend that we don't know that the Japanese have got sex robots and they're already more advanced than anything else we could possibly imagine.
Well, I was thinking of Big Hero 6 and a robot that's a nurse and a superhero at the same time.
I was
So
thinking of Monika Kusanagi. Yeah,
we clearly see why we yeah. Oh, God help us. God help us
there
all.
is no God. God is dead. Actually, there was a God, and he was Chris Metzen, and he left Blizzard this week.
Well, I mean, he's not dead. He's just gone. Then
He's dead to me, can opener.
he's still around. He's still alive.
No, fuck off, Chris Metzen. You have abandoned us, and we don't love you anymore. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Chris. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please don't leave Blizzard, please. Oh, okay, but look, seriously, just before I go back to begging like an insane person, I want to read his goodbye post. And keep in mind, this is going to be kind of long, so you may want to go grab a few snacks. If you don't, that's fine. Anyway, this was actually posted on the 13th. I'm serious. This is wrong. Long. Get some snacks. But okay, the reason I want to read it is because I know some people out there probably haven't seen it to have a chance to read it. I think we posted it. Nick, did we post it to our Facebook page?
I think we did. Let me. I'll look while you read it. If
Okay.
we did it, we'll post it.
Yeah, it's not hard to post. Anyway, um, I'm tempted to skip through part of this because it's very, it really seriously is very long, but it's a very good post. Anyway, I had just turned 20 years old when I started working at Blizzard. It seems like a lifetime ago. Guess it was. Those few years were the start of a very grand adventure for me. One that would take me around the world, introduce me to thousands of wonderful geeks just like me, and ultimately shape the course of my adult life. Of course, when I started, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to make games or build entertainment products. But I had an insatiable passion for ideas, for stories, for heroes. My only real training before joining Blizzard was the long-running D&D campaign I had with my closest friends, Sam, Mike P, Daniel, and Mikey C. Building ideas, vast worldscapes, characters, and plot lines with my friends was my first great love. I lived for it. It was a safe space amid the tension and change of some rough teenage years. The grand refuge of D&D was a glorious meeting of minds and imaginations where I felt I truly belonged. It was a space where friendship and imagination were inextricably linked. The sharing of ideas on the fly, the crazy, unexpected turns other players would take, it stretched our imaginations in ways we'd never have dreamt of on our own. I loved how role-playing through adventures taught us so much about each other, and more often than not, ourselves. Imagining together helped us make sense of the crazy world we were growing up in. It made us stronger together. I hadn't really understood the depth of it for many years, but I had learned an important truth from my friends back then. Creativity is relational. Looking back at my years at Blizzard, I see how profoundly this idea has shaped my career. I see how profoundly my friends and coworkers at Blizzard have shaped me as a person. For nearly 23 years, I've had the very distinct privilege of shaping worlds and building games with the brightest creative minds in entertainment. I've walked with giants and stood on some giant shoulders too. In short, I've had the time of my life. I pretty much had the coolest job ever, but the truth is sometimes it was really hard. Building games with dozens of brilliant, passionate alpha geeks with their own red-hot instincts and perspectives can be pretty tricky. Coming to consensus about certain design decisions, story motifs, or courses of art direction takes a lot of communication, patience, and give and take. It stretches you, but sometimes it wasn't all that pretty. But engaging with your teammates and collaborating through the potential quagmire of all that creative tension is where the real magic happens. It's not just the decisions you come to, or even the final shape of the product you craft. It's bigger than that, and infinitely more important. True collaboration builds trust, and trust is the basis of all lasting relationships. With trust, you build more than just a great product. You build a tribe that can build anything. A family of craftsmen. That's what Blizzard has always been for me. My second family, through all of life's ups and downs, has always been there. The great geeky backdrop of my life. I don't just mean the job or even the creative mission, but the people. The people who over and over lifted me up, believed in me, and pushed me to my final potential as both an artist and as a leader all these years. To my Blizzard brothers and sisters, I wish I had the words. Everything just sounds trite. All I can think of is you helped me believe in myself and achieve every one of my wildest dreams. I am forever grateful to you. I love you all with everything I've got. Thank you. And to all of you out there in Blizzard's vast gaming community, those of you who I've had the pleasure of meeting in person, all of you around the world, I've only heard about. Thank you. Thank you all for letting me be a special part of your community, for letting me belong with you. We've shared countless adventures together, and I've always been overwhelmed and humbled by your passion for our games as well as your commitment to each other. Thank you for all the BlizzCon hugs, smiles, handshakes, and stories over the years. You will never know how much you've touched my heart and inspired me to give my all into this craft. With that said, I'll try and get down to the point here. I've come to a turn in the road. A new, far quieter chapter in my life looms ahead. I am retiring. Yep, hanging up my guns, clocking out, taking the last grip out of Stormwind. You get the picture. Crazy, I know. It's a massive change for me, but it's one I've been looking forward to for a while now. It's ironic given the fact that things have never been better or more energized at Blizzard. Just this year alone has been incredible. Legion's arrival, the launch of Overwatch, the Warcraft feature film. I've never been more proud of Blizzard and the quality of its products than I am now. It's remarkable that even after all these years we can still reach new heights and take the world for an amazing ride. I believe Blizzard's future is brighter than ever. I won't lie. It's going to be really hard stepping away from these worlds that I love, but I'm content that I'm leaving them in the hands of the most passionate, talented, and dedicated craftsmen ever assembled. I can't wait to see where Blizzard Worlds go next, and to experience them firsthand like everyone else does, as a fan, as an adventurer, right back at the start. That's just so cool. The reason I use the word retire is because I'm going to some other. It's not because I'm going to some other company or starting up new projects or anything like that. It's been a long, amazing stretch of years. Now it's time to slow it down, rest, lay around on the couch, and get fat. Well, fatter. Seriously though, I'll be focusing on the one thing that matters most to me in all the world, my family. They're the core of my life and the source of my deepest joy and inspiration. In addition to raising our two little ones, we recently welcomed our new baby into the family. Being home with them all, having having time and space to really live, to love my wife with all my strength, that's my career now. And I've never been happier. Ever. Peace out, y'all. I love you all. I'll see you online. Chris.
Like, I want to cry and beg and, just plead for him to stay, but now I don't want to after reading how happy he is.
I will very freely admit I cried when I read it. I don't know if you could tell, but I almost was reading it this time. Because, goddamn, I have spent... Okay, let's see. World of Warcraft is 12 years old this year. Vanilla was, I think, 2 years. BC was... Yeah, like, I have spent nearly a decade. Almost. I think like 8 or 9 years at one time. And that's just one game. That's not all the time that I spent playing Hearthstone. I haven't played Diablo 1 and 2, but I have played Diablo 3 on like multiple different. I mean, like I've spent a lot of my time playing Blizzard games, and I've been doing it since I was little. Like the first one I ever played was the Lost Vikings, and thinking back on it, this is all shit that Chris Metzen created. Okay, Asmongold said something the other day, like when he found out that Chris was retiring, he made a video and he said something that I wholeheartedly agree with. If you go back and look at the original art books and the player's guides and stuff for World of Warcraft that you used to get with the game, all the drawings in there have Metzen on there. Every goddamn one of them. Nothing in World of Warcraft, just WoW alone, nothing in that game was created solely by anyone else. I'd say easily 98% of it was created by Chris Metzen, especially the original groundwork of the world that we're all playing in. Okay, Chris Metzen created Thrall. He created the Horde. He created the majority of the Alliance. He is responsible for the storyline and death of Varian Wren, everything else. Plus, he's also voiced in Wren. He has voiced Thrall, just like a bunch of characters throughout the years have had this man's voice. They have been designed by him, created by him. And it's sad to see him. It really is genuinely sad that Chris Metzen is leaving. I mean, it's for lack of a non uh, uh, cheesy way of putting it, it's the end of an era. I mean, he's been at Blizzard pretty much since the founding, and now he's leaving.
If we were to say one person is Blizzard, it would easily be Chris Metzen.
Yeah.
And I mean, it I don't know if there's one person that's as important to such a big company as Chris Metzen has been to Blizzard. And it's a
Maybe
little
Steve
scary to,
Jobs. Maybe.
well, yeah,
Except
Steve
that
Jobs
Steve Jobs has got a
probably.
very interesting history. But I mean, like, the reason I say Steve Jobs is because we all know that in his final years he was everywhere and promoted everything. Okay, so that's maybe 5, 6 years of Steve Jobs being the most important face of Apple. Chris Metzen has been that for 20 years.
The only reason I'd really compare Steve Jobs to Metzen is because Apple was on such a downslide without Jobs, and it literally took him coming back in order to revitalize the company and make it probably the most successful it's ever been, honestly. So that's why I would consider Jobs in that category, but mm, it's hard to. Chris Metzen is I I'm not sure if you'll get this reference, but he's the Tim Duncan of video games. He's always there. He's always consistent. He's reliable. He's the guy you know that you go there and you see him and you're like, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Even if things are a disaster or heartbreaking or just you're just upset or angry like we were with Warlords or Draenor, we knew Metzen was still there. And we knew everything would be okay. And it has been okay. As Legion has clearly revitalized or fixed everything that was wrong, basically.
I kind of like to think of Legion, and this is me really making a big reference here. There is a passage in Moby Dick where Ahab talks about killing the whale, you know, killing the white whale, and he says, "If my heart had been a cannon, I'm sorry, if my chest had been a cannon, I would have shot my heart upon it." And just that image for me kind of encapsulates what Chris Metzen is for Blizzard, period. You know, and I think that now that he's now, okay, look, I'm not saying that he is a fanatical, insane individual like Ahab was. It's just that he has always pursued the betterment of every game he's been a part of. Okay, and him going out is like, this is, you know, the angels coming from heaven and saying, "Chris, it's your time." Like, Legion is the point in time to leave, and it's surprising he's leaving at the start of Legion, but it's also not surprising. The reason it's not surprising is to me because we're going to have at least a year, year and a half, 2 years ahead of us with this expansion, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with. There is so much cool shit. And we're like on week 3 of Legion here. There's so much cool shit that I wouldn't mind a lengthy wait and having to wait for like the final raid boss or the next expansion, whatever. Like, I would be fine with this. This is definitely not um, anything like Path expansion. This is not at all Cataclysm. This is not Mist of Pandaria. This is not anything else. This is like I said before, Nick. This is the closest thing that I have felt since Wrath of the Lich King. Like, this expansion just hits fucking home with me, and I think Chris Metzen leaving right now says a lot about where his personal comfortability level is with Legion, like with World of Warcraft right now. It's like, okay, I've done my best. I have now guided this shit like this, and just the whole fucking thing has been guided back to where it needs to be, you know. And there's a lot of people who are coming back to the game, and not just coming back to the game, but staying on the game, actually having a reason to log in. You know, in fact, I was reading, I want to say it was a Vice report or something earlier about it, about somebody who hadn't played World of Warcraft in a very long time, and they had a druid, and they don't want to log out of their druid. They don't want to log out because they have so much fun. Okay, that's what Legion means to me, or rather, that's what Legion is to me. Like, I have to throw myself into other shit because this expansion is so well crafted, and like I said, we're not even to the first content patch. There is so much to do, so much to see, and having already done the vast majority of all the quests in the game, sure, that's going to get kind of boring because I've got nearly 30 characters to take through all this stuff. But it's weird. Like, there's new and different things I'm coming across every time I take a character to the Broken Isle, and I fucking love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I've now gone through the 4 starter zones and a lot of story more, and I'm still going back to the 4 zones that I finished, and I'm finding new things. I'm discovering new places. I'm just going around, and I'm like, I still haven't. I feel like there's still a lot left for me to find there, a lot left for me to explore. There's still quests that I missed, and I'm like, wow, where was this? How did I miss this? And it's just, it's such a well crafted expansion, and it's beautiful. It's really
There
beautiful.
is, Nick, I'm not sure if you had a chance to do it or not, but when you do the Broken Shore invasion thing, like, just to explain how well crafted this is, okay? And this directly ties into our show on Friday. We were talking about veterans and everything, okay? There is a alliance only quest item, and if you've done the Broken Shore intro, you have seen all the NPCs. You know, you've seen the pandas that are feeding you your last meal, the Draenei that are enchanting your weapon, and all that stuff. Like, it's every race of the Alliance, except for I think the Night Elves. But everyone is doing something to help in this effort of turning back the Legion. Okay, but there's all these NPCs that talk to you, or will talk about you, or will discuss what's going on as you run past. And there is this little, really quick exchange. Like, if you don't know that Elena Harsong and her children Sam and Ella are there, you'll completely miss them. But they're standing there in Stormont Harbor, looking out over around the dock at all the ships off in the distance, and the kids are asking their mom if their dad's going to come home. And this, for those of you who are aware of it, this is the same. Elena Harsong is the same character that is responsible for Elena's bonnet, the account wide uh, cosmetic armor piece that everyone can wear. Uh, but when you go to the Broken Shore and you fight there, you find the ashes of a burned crusader. You loot it and you get a locket, and it's Elena's locket. You take it to her in Elwyn, hand it to her, and she commits suicide. Now, it's possible it's not a suicide. There's it's
No, it's definitely suicide because there's a dead body.
Yeah, but
It, it
hang on. There is a little bit of speculation that I've seen floating around online that Elena does not actually kill herself. Um, Maybe she was murdered. Who knows? You know, like, and honestly, I prefer, in a weird way, I prefer, the gray area rather than the cold hard. And this is something I've talked at length about people with. But the whole concept of having an NPC who commits suicide because their husband is dead and you've brought them proof of that, that is, it's heart wrenching. Like the first time I did it, I sat there and bawled my eyes out. I'm a 34-year-old grown man crying my eyes out over a little stupid quest in a video game. Just a character who is not real, has never been real. It's a collection of pixels on the screen. But just the emotion that it struck in my heart, it's like, holy shit, this woman's dead now, and where are her kids? Like, are her kids in the orphanage? What the hell happened to Salmonella? Like it's and the reason it affects me is because I had a neighbor for a number of years until she passed, whose husband was shot down in Vietnam, and for 50 years she never had closure. She never knew where her husband was. She never remarried. Uh, she like she raised their kid, and that was it. And in her final days, she developed dementia, and she forgot who she was. She forgot everything about her life, and she had to live 50 years every day looking at the front door waiting for her husband to come home every day for 50 years. And I remember talking about it with her for a while several years ago, and she had pictures of him and everything else, and she had the last letter she got from us. She kept all this stuff, and I can only imagine. Uh, I really have to imagine how she felt dealing with that, and I genuinely understand uh, the way that Elena Harson would feel were this an actual thing, and it not just some little. I don't want to say fun extra, but it's supposed to be a fun extra. Yay, you get a cosmetic item. Yay, it's awesome. But an NPC has to die before you do it, and it's a very, very realistic situation. But the only thing that makes it even tolerable for me is the fact that even though you generally break Elena's heart by bringing her the locket, you know that she had she got her closure. There's no way around it. In the end, Elena Harsong uh, killed herself, knowing that her husband was gone and she didn't have to. And that's really all that saves it.
I mean, it, I don't think of that necess. I mean, it's cool that you get the little cosmetic piece, but I honestly feel that it's more of it's one of those moments that goes beyond the game being fun and just shows the real kind of harshness and reality that war can bring. Um, and it's just it's sad, definitely, to think about, but it, it's what really happens to people. It's not a fantasy thing. People lose their loved ones, and sometimes it's too much, and they can't handle it. And they can't bear to be without that person, and it's really special moments that make games like World of Warcraft mean so much to people. It really it touches on things that a lot of people wouldn't think of as being part of a video game.
It does. And see, okay. When Legion was announced, Blizzard said very plainly, expect. I cannot remember word for word how it was phrased, but they essentially said expect to see uh, major characters come. Like expect to see major changes in the world. Some characters will be returning. Obviously, we've lost some along the way. Like for example, and this is not I would say spoilers, but fuck you if you don't know this by now. You don't know this. Okay, this is not ruining anything for you. Okay, Vol'jin is dead. Varian Wrynn is dead. Uh, Tyrion Forgering is dead. Uh, there's a lot of NPCs or characters in WoW lore that are dead now. Dead, like dead, dead, dead. They're not coming back, and it hits home a little more than I think the deaths of Magni and Bane did in Cataclysm. Like killing them off, yeah, that was kind of a rough thing to go through. And sure, it still affects me that they're gone, but this is and this is why I think the storyline with the little quick storyline of Elena Harsong is important. That's just this is some NPC that has never been in existence until now. But you're seeing this little short storyline with her, and it's like, holy shit, uh, demons are invading Azeroth. We could all die, So you like this is generally affecting everyone, and it's so much more well crafted than the Westfall storyline from Cataclysm, which is like, oh look, here's all these homeless people, ha 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 ha, they're gonna become Defiance again, da, da, da. And that's where you go, it's a good storyline,
I
but it's missing so much from it, and I think just Elena by herself is more satisfying in that respect than the Defiance Brotherhood ever happened to be, and just to know how stupid I think the Defiance Brotherhood is. One of the champions you get as a rogue in Legion is Vanessa Van Cleef, because apparently she lived through the explosion. No, no, whatever. Fuck off. That's one of the low points for me. But we can talk about that later.
I mean, uh, Blizzard games have always had these sort of moments where they try to really bring home the feeling of loss, of dread, of fear, of terror, to a person. And it's something that's really hard to pull off in video games, especially because the point of a video game is you're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to enjoy it, you're supposed to, sort of be relaxed, sort of playing, or, a lot of people use video games as a form of escapism, for better or worse. That's what they want when they play the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is something where, in order to bring more sort of meaning, more passion, however you want to phrase it or say it, it it's something that it's so hard to pull off. And I know they try to do it with things like the Defias storyline with in Wrath of the Lich King when we went through what Arthas went through and saw how he had to deal with things. And just things like that. And it it really tries to make you think and feel and understand that these things are really happening and they're really taking a toll on people. And really it's special. It's something that really has to be treasured in a way. And it's really hard to it's something that you really have to take a moment to appreciate and be like, wow, that was really well done. That really touched me beyond just being just this something fun to do. This was something that really reached me. And that's why we love Blizzard games. That's why we love games like Dungeons and Dragons and Final Fantasies and things like that, because they touch on loss, they touch on sorrow, they touch on having to be um, having to deal with real life emotions.
And see, okay, look, here's one of the big things that I've taken out of this so far. Okay, uh, the reason that it's so reminiscent of Wrath of the Lich King for me, other than the obvious reasons, uh, is okay. For those of you who have not played a priest and you have not done your broken owl intro on your priest, I'm gonna ruin something for you. Okay, I'm gonna ruin something for you. This is so evocative of Wrath of the Lich King because it has a Menethil in it. Okay, I did this on my priest, and I had heard some rumors of who it might be that you go visit. But you're sent to Tirith Fallglade, you're sent to Fowl's Rest. Okay? And lo and behold, you come across Alonzus Fowl, who was the creator of the Knights of the Silver Hand. He's the person who anointed Uther. He's the person who knighted Uther. Alonzus Fowl was the Archbishop of the Church of the Holy Light through the First War, Second War, Third War, all the way up until around the time World of Warcraft comes into existence, and he's the one who appointed Archbishop Benedictus, who we all know betrayed us during Cataclysm. Okay? But the person that you encounter at Fowl's Rest is not Alonzus Fowl at first. It's a woman named Kalia. And when you talk to her, her little flavor text is, it's just Kalia now. So, Nick, I'm going to go ahead and ask you this. Why would a woman named Kalia say that her name is just Kalia, be specifically in Lordaeron, surrounded by a bunch of priests who are all happen to be undead, and be at Fowl's Rest? Who do you think this is, Nick?
I'm not sure. Tell me.
It's Kalia Menethil, Arthas' sister, the only living member of the Menethil family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. We've been wondering what happened to her.
Yeah. When I
Didn't we
said,
talk about what happened to her?
no, you find out about her, having been
No,
around,
I
and
think we had a discussion about what happened to her at one point, like years ago. I remember that.
she just kind of wanders off. But okay, there is a song. It's listed as Invincible in the World of Warcraft soundtrack for Wrath of the Lich King. The woman singing in that, the song that's about Arthas and having fallen in love with his horse and what his horse and everything meant to him. That's actually Kalia singing it. Okay, that like it's a song that she's singing about her dead brother. Okay, like that's the story behind that song. But Kalia, other than that, has been kind of non-existent. There's nothing been mentioned of her, and then she shows up. That's how evocative of Wrath of the Lich King this shit is. This is how important Legion is. These characters who have never been seen in game, like, for example, Callie Menethil, or Alonzo's Fowl, or, holy fuck, Meryl Fellstorm. Those of you who are familiar with WoW lore, you'll know who Meryl Fellstorm is. Now, if you don't know, I'm going to go ahead and ruin it for you. Meryl Fellstorm is the creator, the literal fucking creator of the Guardians of Tirisfal. He's the creator of the Council of Tirisfal. He was obviously not the first Guardian, but he did appoint Paladine to the position. Okay, and of course back then he had another name. It wasn't Bellstorm. But we're talking about a human being who is about 2,000 years old, and he is so old he is dried out. Of course, the only option for displaying him in game is actually that of an undead. So when you see him on your mage, understand he is not undead. Okay, he's not forsaken. He's just very, 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 very old. But Meryl Fellstorm has been in the comics and stories for a long time. In fact, he is the creator of the new Council of Tirisfal. He is the person who appointed Medan, who is a descendant of Medivh and Garona, motherfucking Garona half working. Like he's their child. Medan is actually supposed to be the guardian, not Khadgar. Hint, hint, Blizzard. Khadgar shouldn't have Atiyesh. Anyway, Meryl Fellstorm is in the game. Okay, this expansion has brought back Valera Sanguinar, and it's amazing to see her. The last time we saw her was actually during Wrath of the Lich King, and she was in Stormwind standing by Varian because Varian had just returned. Now, I have not seen Brawl Baremantle yet, but I'm assuming that Brawl is in the game. It's somewhere, he has to be. But for Shaman, you also get to run across Rhaegar Earthfury, who is a very popular character in Here's the Storm. But Rhaegar is one of the gladiator characters that Varian encountered. So you're seeing these characters who are major parts of WoW lore in some way in this expansion. And that's the depth that this goes to. I mean, we're looking at the literal destruction of Azeroth here. That's what the demons are after. And we know, like, it's so important to keep in mind that the upcoming content patch, which I'm going to say, like, and this is my prediction, and we haven't done a prediction on the show for a while, I'm going to say it's going to be out probably after Hallow's End. Somewhere around there, because there are updates to the Winter Veil music, and there's a lot of stuff with Winter Veil that's in patch 7.1 that's been data mined, but it doesn't seem to include new pets or mounts or music or anything for anything prior to Hallow's End or possibly the in-game version of Thanksgiving. So look towards that. Yay. But anyway, we know from patch 7.1 and what Return to Karazhan is about is essentially the demons are coming for Karazhan. Why Karazhan? Oh, could it be because all this important shit is stored in fucking Karazhan? I mean, we haven't been to Karazhan as players since Burning Crusade. And we never, again, as players, never really got to experience the awesomeness of Karazhan, like what the full extent of it is, and like how twisted and changed and altered everything in this tower is. But if you've played Warcraft 1, you know the story, the basic story of Karazhan is you go there to kill Medivh, and that's it. Right? Right. But with 7.1, you find out, well, I mean, we've known since Burning Crusade at least, that Medivh is still bound there. But Medivh is getting a new model update for this. Medivh is going to be in the game. Now, he's not going to be something that will communicate to you, but he'll be in the game, in the new Karazhan, and you have to fight him. And it's interesting to me to look at the boss fights, because like their abilities and stuff are already in the dungeon, are already in the dungeon journal. It's very evocative, not only visually, but like the music and everything else. But the boss mechanics are very much like what was in the original Karazhan. Okay, but that's how deep this goes, and a lot of people have been saying very derisive things about this expansion because it's like, oh, look at this, we're trying to touch on all these cool things. Yes, yes, they are. We're talking about a 12-year-old video game, and there is so much lore out there that's been written by people like Richard Knack and others that was never put in the game. Well, I take it back. I'm not going to say Richard Knack because there was one thing that was put in the game. Citizens of Dalaran! That was put in the game. Raise your eyes to the sky! Something, that, may have been in the game, about observe! Ronin was credited with Richard Knack, and that's really the extent of, like, the books. Up until maybe Mist of Pandaria, where Blizzard was actually...
Did anyone actually like Ronin?
No. No one has ever liked Ronin. Ronin has been nothing but a goddamn Mary Sue, and I'll be honest, I'm glad he burned to death in Theramore.
It's the one thing I'm really not mad at Karash about.
Fuck you, Ronin. Goddamn, fuck Ronin. Seriously, I would have actually been okay with Ronin, because in the Ulduar trailer, that was fine. You see him, he's kind of a badass. He's like, we have to come together! And he does the explosion because he stops Varian and Garrosh from fighting, which is fine and dandy. If you haven't seen the Ulduar trailer, go find it. It's old as shit. The character models are outdated, but it's interesting to watch. That's about all.
It's honestly one of the better trailers.
It really was. It really was. It was actually one of the first ones where they started using newer graphic model updates. If you notice, like if you pay really close attention to it, really, really close. I mean, they're still using the original character models, but the way that it was designed, that was some of the newer trailer options that you would start seeing coming. Like not exactly in Cataclysm, but some of it was Cataclysm. And of course, with Cataclysm, we did get newer character models for a lot of NPCs, namely Thrall, who looked a hell of a lot better in Cataclysm than he does now, because now he just looks like a fucking dumbass. But no, God, Chris Metzen, please, I will sell my soul to you if you come back and kill Thrall off. Please, no, better yet, I hope someone else kills Thrall off. It's kind of like Richard Knack creating Ronin, and if you read the books, it's just there is no other definition for him other than Mary Sue. Like, nothing else fits Ronin, but because if you read it, there's the whole time travel thing, and he goes back in time, and he is essentially able to command the Moon Guard, which is under Illidan's Storm Rage, and Illidan's like, okay, how does this, pale, red-headed individual who happens to speak my language, even though I've never seen him, never heard of him before, how is it he's a more powerful sorcerer than I am? Because I'm in charge of the fucking Moon Guard, and I'm sacrificing my own people and absorbing their power. How is he better than I am? That's essentially Illidan's reaction to him throughout the whole story. And I'm glad that Ronin is dead. I'm glad. I'm sorry. I think it was time. Blizzard killed him off, and it just amuses me greatly that Christy Golden is the one that killed him off, rather than Richard Knack. It's like, fuck you, Richard Knack. You write these Tolkien-esque books about characters that no one gives a shit about or ever will give a shit about, and she kills him off in her book, and it was hilarious. But yeah, back on point here. Legion has actually got some major lore characters.
I want to make a list of characters you hate the most. That's what I want to do
Thrall is at the
at
top of
some
it.
point. He's replaced Ronan? John? He, he, I mean, you hate Ronan so much.
I do, but
I
I
can't
hate
believe
Thrall. I genuinely hate Thrall now.
you loved Thrall so much. You defended Thrall so hard
I
every
did. I
time in
did.
the past.
I used to love Thrall. Thrall actually used to be one of my favorite lore. Now that's keeping in mind that I had some issues with the storyline, but I liked him. In fact, when I saw Baby Thrall in the Warcraft movie, I had to wipe away a tear. It was so fantastic. But no, having done the shaman, and okay, look, here's the thing. I've got two shaman. Okay, I've got one that is elemental, and the other one is uh enhancement. And of course, enhancement gets the Doomhammer. And the whole time, keep in mind, this is an orc shaman. Okay, it's an orc shaman. That's the one that's enhancement. And I have the Frost Wolves title. And like in my own little role playing mindset, this orc is a Frost Wolf. So she's encountered Drekthar and Thrall and everything before, and I'm just Thrall's the chieftain of the Frostwolf clan, and I just wanted Thrall to fall over dead. I did. Uh, it's supposed to be an epic storyline, and I get that. However, this is gonna spoil it for some of you who probably don't give a shit because you're never gonna play a shaman. Um, Thrall gets the Doomhammer knocked out of his hands and into the Maelstrom, and oh yay, you have to go save it, ha 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 ha. But the way, okay, look, with like Paladin and Death Knight and everything else, you're generally treated as a hero. It's like, you're the most powerful of us. We're going to work with you, and we're going to do this. But when a fucking shaman goes to the Maelstrom in their intro, basically you're told, oh, well, the Earthen Ring has pretty much been obliterated, and we need to rebuild it around you. And this is the only point in time that I really have any pity for the shaman class in the game. Is the first year, because you get there and you have to light a fire for some of them because they are like they're just so rattled they can't even light a fire. Okay, you have to heal a griffin because again they're so rattled by what they have seen from fighting off the demons that they just can't. Like they're broken. They're literally broken mentally and physically, and they're tired and exhausted. And I get that. It's a wonderful metaphor for Azeroth. Like it really is, because you think about it, the Earthen Ring represents Azeroth. It represents the elements, whatever. Moving the fuck on here. The demon who was giving the most trouble manages to somehow find them and chases them down. And Thrall fights him while you do all the cool shit. You do the hero shit, and Thrall's fighting him. And then, oh no, he knocks the Doomhammer out of Thrall's hand. It goes flying in the Maelstrom, and then you hit the demon with electricity because apparently there are Guardian Stones at the Maelstrom that have been there for 10,000 years, and you're just able to activate them because it makes so much sense that this organization, which didn't come into existence until around the time of the First War, would be there and would have these stones there that were capable of destroying things. Because yeah, that makes sense, and it's weird because it's a broken shaman, like not the broken that are the other shaman. I'm talking about like the actual broken, like the corrupted Draenei, that shaman. It's like Aronak, and Aronak Stone Speaker talks like this, ha 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 ha, instead of the broken shaman. They're supposed to have this voice. Good luck to you. They're supposed to talk like that, okay? Not like this. And it's even worse than he was in Cataclysm. I am Aronak Stonespeaker. Haha. No. No. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. Sorry. And it doesn't matter that they're getting incredibly talented and incredibly well-known voice actors to do these characters. If you haven't noticed, there are a lot of new voice actors in this expansion, and there's some really well-known ones doing the voices now. But no, like I said, uh, a broken shaman could sound like this. Is the way they're supposed to sound. It's established. God damn it, make them sound that way. Anyway, moving on. Um,
I
as it
am
has.
so glad that I finally got to hear that rant. I
Oh,
I have been waiting for
I'm
it
not done.
for a
I'm
long
nowhere
time.
near done. I am nowhere. I wanted to delete
Please,
my
keep
shaman.
going.
I
Keep going.
wanted to delete my fucking shaman over this. I did. I wanted to get rid of this character. In fact, I wanted to just take every shaman I have and delete them. That is how dissatisfied I am with the enhancement quest to obtain the Doomhammer. You follow Thrall into easily one of the least favorite places in the game for me, Deep Home, and you have to go encounter Therazane the Stone Mother. Now, if you played in Cataclysm, you know how Therazane was. But instead, you have someone who talks like this. It's a fucked up voice. She's this big, fat ass, floating rock monster thing. And she has this weird voice like that. It's weird. I can't even imitate it properly without like choking myself to death. It's terrifying. So you go.
It still makes me confused about how that one guy mated with her. I'm
Oh
still
God,
confused
no,
about that.
no, 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 no. We're talking about the child of Cenarius here. You know, something that's half deer, half elf. And I'm sorry that got very loud. I'm having to wipe tears away from my eyes because it seriously strained my voice to try and imitate the fat bitch. Anyway, holy shit. Okay, you do these stupid quests for her. And by the way, just as a statement here, Sarah Zane's daughter is God damn, that is a nightmare. Anyway, um, God, is it even a woman? That's my question. Like I know, I I, I know that she's referred to as she, and I'm not saying this, to sound sexist or anything, but look, just look look her up. Look Therodmus up and tell me you can tell what this thing is supposed to be. I mean, if it's supposed to have titties, I can't tell. I can't tell because it's like rolls of fat, and it's not even fat. It's rock and dirt, and I'm confused. Look at the face. There's three faces on there. What kind of mutant fucking child is this thing supposed to be? And it's supposed to be beautiful? No, no. Oh my God. Oh, God. Damn, it makes me hate some things to think about that. But anyway, uh, I can see where she gets her looks from. Go look at Therazane. Just go look at this thing. Jesus, who created Therazane anyway, you follow Thrall into a cave, and it just gets worse because Thrall was evidently injured at some point in time, and you're led to believe that he's just bleeding to death. But he stands there, and he'll stop, and he'll like holy shit. Okay, he's literally losing blood, and his health meter actually decreases. Like his amount of HP actually goes down as you play through it. And I would intentionally stop what I was doing just to watch Thrall's HP drain. God damn it. Anyway, he stops and he's like, "We have to recover the Doomhammer." I remember when Orgrim gave it to me, and he gave me his armor, and I'm like, Thrall, shut the fuck up. We're in a cave in the middle of the planet trying to help some dragons and some stupid shit down here, trying to get your hammer because you're a pussy and you lost it, and you're going to tell me all this backstory shit that I don't. It's not that I don't care, but I don't care to hear it. It's like, oh, I'm the greatest hero in the world. I'm laying here. Let me regale you with the time that I took a shit on the dining room table of the White House. Let me tell you about that. And you just don't care because this supposed great hero who you are having to rescue and do shit for them, it's the most Don Quixote-esque thing I can imagine of in World of Warcraft. It's like, oh, I'm just dying. Oh, I'm dying. We're gonna go on this mission. I'm gonna go on it with you, and you're gonna have to do all of the work because I'm just dying. And I kind of wonder at what point in time did Thrall actually get injured, because you never see the demon actually hurt him, and there's no mention that Thrall is injured until you get down into Deep Home. There's no mention of it at all.
Did, did they turn Thrall into an old Jewish man?
No, no, old Jewish men are more intriguing than Thrall is. Thrall is a pussy. Okay, I'm sorry. Thrall bitches the entire time, and then at the end of it, he's like, "Oh, you picked up the Doomhammer, and it's responding to you better than it ever did me. Ha ha! You can have it now." Okay, Thrall. For starters, the Doomhammer responded perfectly well to you until you murdered Garrosh. Okay, like the game specifically states this. Well, actually, Thrall specifically says, he's like, the elements don't seem to respond to me ever since I handed out justice to Garrosh. And I'm like, you didn't hand out justice, you murdered him. The fucking Celestials even told you that. What's wrong with you, Thrall? Just, gee, no. Holy shit, it's a terrifyingly bad storyline, and it makes me hate the Shaman class. I feel so sorry every time I see someone playing a Shaman. I'm like, I'm sorry. I want to hug you through the computer every time I see anyone playing a Shaman. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through this yet. And I think it's why we haven't seen very many people playing Shaman anymore, because it's so, like, it's a depressing shithole of an order hall. I mean, you're by the Maelstrom. Now, granted, it has some of the best music of an order hall that I've seen so far, but it's a depressing shithole. Like, you're in the asshole of the world. Literally, that's where you are. And the Maelstrom's there, and there's some lightning, but you get a companion pet, and you get it by whipping the ass of this puppy. It's like it's a puppy, and you pet battle it, and you have to kick its ass, and it's like, I love you now, and you're its mommy or daddy. And no, no, I don't want a puppy to love me because I beat it to death. I don't want that to be a thing. But that's what you get. But you get, like, more toys, like little account-wide toys and shit from this starting area than just about anybody else does. And I hate it, and it makes me hate Thrall.
I am so satisfied right now. I'm just I'm just so satisfied.
No, sir. No, sir. You will find your satisfaction when you roll a goddamn shaman and you play through this nightmare as enhancement and you find out exactly what it's like. Only then, only after you have experienced it, will you understand the depth of my rage and anger over how the story has turned out. I want Thrall dead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, out of everything he's done in the past, like everything that they have done with Thrall's character, like him abandoning the Horde, you know, to go play whatever, him somehow magically becoming the new aspect of Earth, even though it's still Deathwing, and Deathwing was still very much alive, albeit insane, I didn't like that. And the whole idea, well, Thrall's the world shaman. And then the point where he marries Agra, it's like you're on Mount Hyjal, Ragnaros is threatening to destroy every fucking thing around you. A giant dragon is burning every city and every person to the ground, and you have to go kill things, and you're like, we're gonna get married in the middle of all of this. And then you have a kid a stupid kid who uh, somehow manages to be Maghar. He's uncorrupted. Like, the model for Orc's child is brown, and it makes me wonder, because Thrall's skin color is green. Now, granted, Thrall never drank demon's blood. It's just natural, apparently, that he has green skin, which means that it's passed on genetically because his parents had green skin. I think I don't fucking understand this shit. It's stupid. But yeah, Thrall has a little brown skinned baby, and I'm like, okay, why are we seeing this kid that's obviously going to be disappointed in his father? I mean, I'm sorry, but if I was Thrall's son, I'd be like, Dad. It'd be like, yes, son. And I'd be like, you were war chief of the Horde Chief. Yes, I was. And then you quit? Yes. To do what? Well, I went to a planet, to my ancestral homeland, on a planet that I had never been to, and I had never known anything of, other than what the people who were there originally told me. And I went and found this orc, and he was sad, and he was crying. And I asked him why he was crying, and he's like, because my dad murdered people. And I'm like, oh, your dad must have been Grom. Let me tell you about your dad, Mr. Depressed Orc Man. Your dad was actually a hero. Never mind that Grom Hellscream actually killed Cenarius, but whatever, it's fine. Never mind the fact that, Grom was essentially a goddamn terrorist. It's fine, whatever, who cares? Be sure and tell him that, oh yeah, Grom saved all the orcs, and that's cool. And then, Thrall's like, and the kid's like, well, then what happened next, Daddy? And then Thrall goes on to tell him how he made Garrosh, the son of Grom, the leader of the Horde military, and went to the war in Northrend, and the only thing that Garrosh excelled at was actually murdering people in their sleep, and, whatever, killing things like an orc's supposed to. And then he went psycho and tried to kill everybody around him, and you're like, it's okay! It's okay, Garrosh. You got this, buddy. You got this. I'm gonna leave you in charge. At that point in time, if I was Thrall's son, whose name I can't even bother to remember, I don't even care what his name is, or I guess it's a he. I'm not sure. I really don't know, because all orc children have the exact same model, and because it has a unisex name as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what this child's name is, and I don't care. Anyway, stupid story right here. Anyway, if I was Thrall's child, I'd be like, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go live with that person across the street because they actually did something other than be a complete failure. And that's what Thrall is. It's a complete thing. He's like, I'm the world shaman now. I'm the most amazing shaman in the world. I'm going to go to another planet where all the elements will bow towards me. And if you play through the starting quest line of Warlords of Draenor as Horde, you see that's essentially what Thrall thinks is going to happen. And it starts out that way, yeah. It kind of works that way. The elements there are, like, he even acknowledges the elements there are much different than they are on Azeroth. And they respond to him so much better. And then, of course, he kills Garrosh, and the elements abandon him. So, yeah, Thrall is this moment, and I sincerely hated the playthrough for Enhancement Shaman because of that shit.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
No,
However,
you're not.
I love the Paladin playthrough. I adore the Paladin playthrough. It is amazing and fun, and there's spaceships, and there's paladins and the light, and yeah. And
The
Ashbringer looks
Paladin,
fucking
shut
awesome.
the fuck up, Nick. Don't ever mention Ashbringer on the show again.
Ashbringer
Nick,
looks
god damn it,
amazing.
I'm gonna
It
mute
is
you.
so
I'm going to
goddamn
mute you.
beautiful. I want to hug it. I
I
love
am
it.
going to look. You are going to be uninvited from the show if you keep talking about the Ashbringer. No real, no
And
real
this can
paladin,
happen. This
no
can
real
happen.
paladin plays Retribution.
I was fighting a giant void demon, and it got to maybe half health, and it turned to ash. It just instantly died and turned to
No
ash.
one cares.
You know why? Because I had the ash
No
bringer.
one cares.
And then I went to fight the giant eye demon. And you know what happened to that?
No one cares.
It turned into ash too. It
No
just
one
turned
cares.
into ash. It popped.
Look, Nick, if you want to turn things to ash, play a fire mage or destruction warlock like everybody else.
I can be a holy person that turns things into ash.
God
And
damn.
that's cool.
Look, Ashbringer just makes people a special snowflake. That's all it does. It's like, I'm special just like everybody else because I walk in the order hall and guess what I see everywhere? Retribution paladins and goddamn Ashbringers. No, in fact, I have seen a single paladin who transmogged the Ashbringer. Now, I understand it's cool to have Ashbringer, but you're not the Ashbringer. Alexandros Mograine is the Ashbringer. It's not you. It's not you. In fact, it wasn't even Tyrion Fordring. And see, the thing is, the title supposedly goes along with the sword. No. Alexandros Mograine is the Ashbringer, not you.
I'm
Deal with it.
sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of things turning into ash.
No one cares.
That has to be the coolest artifact effect
No.
that I've seen.
No.
It instantly kills demons and undead and turns them into ash.
It doesn't talk to you though. There are weapons that's like the Shadow Priest weapon will talk to you, and the Demonology Warlock will talk to you.
It instant kills things.
No, look, no, look. See,
kills
here's the thing. When I say they talk to you, it's a like it shows up in the chat log, and it's an actual audio thing, and it talks to you. Also, the Arcane Mage talks to you, because apparently the soul of a mage is trapped in your staff, because Adrian is a badass, and she's like, ah, ha, ha, you're going in here, buddy, and she traps it in there, and it talks to you. And the only one I've seen was an Arcane Mage creating like a little table, you know, like one of the Monafu tables, and and the staff says something like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it's just hilarious. It's like, you have to stop and eat. Wow, like it gets insulting. It's amazing. And the Ashbringer didn't do that. Sorry, who cares? Like really, the only effect the Ashbringer does, like you said, is turn thing to ash. But it's a chance on every mob you hit. Not all of them, not guaranteed. And whatever. The Paladin, like the actual Paladins, the Protection Paladin, theirs is amazing. What it does is occasionally your shield starts to glow, and the longer you let it glow, the more you glow. And that's because the shield is actually revealing a demon around you, and you get to murder the demon. You get free shit from murdering the demon.
Don't care. Have an Ashbringer.
Well, see, you should care, because basically what I'm saying is that the effect of Truth Guard is what it's doing is essentially what Orcrist did and what Sting did in Lord of the Rings. They would glow whenever there was an orc nearby. So it's like whenever there's a demon that's hiding nearby, the shield's like, look at that, there it is, go kill it, and you get to kill it. It's cool.
I'm glad you're happy. Sort of, kind of, not really.
No, okay, look, what really makes me happy is, okay, look, I don't have screenshots from every dungeon, okay, but I did specifically stop in Halls of Valor to take pictures of this, not because I happen to like Norse mythology, which I do, It's because this is probably one of the prettiest dungeons I've ever seen. Now, granted, it's all kind of monochromatic inside, and having done 2 warriors, I've done a protection warrior and a fury warrior, and having gone in here, it gets tiresome. Like seeing it, it's really goddamn tiresome. I'll be honest with you, it really is. Um, because it's again monochromatic. Uh, I will say this though, the benefit to being a warrior is that you can go anywhere in Broken Isles, and you get a teleport there. But what it is, you talk to an NPC, and they fling you in this energy tunnel, and then you land and you make this crater, and it's kind of badass. Like it's ripped directly out of the prose edda, and it's awesome. It really is. It's cool. But while I'm talking about warriors, Blizzard, I have a problem here. Okay. The Trollbane family is arguably one of the single most important lore families in the game. And Danath Trollbane, who we all know from Burning Crusade and Hellfire Peninsula, comes back, and he's the one who wants to talk to you about what's going on. And he's the one that explains to you, hey, this is so important that they pulled me out of Hellfire Peninsula. I was on another planet where I have lived, the vast majority of my life at this point in time, called back into service because you evidently need me. So it's like we're completely abandoning Outland at this point in time. Everyone there can just die. It's so important, and that's cool. I get that. It is important. Except for the fact that Danath Trollbane is a lore character, he should be highly important. You would think so, right, Nick?
Yeah, I've always wanted them to expand on his story specifically, because I always wanted to see him come back to Azeroth to try to reclaim, what's the place?
The entire kingdom of Arathi, because it's their kingdom.
Yeah.
Like he's
or at least that one castle.
He is the last living descendant of Thor's Trollbane. He's essentially a king. He's a king. He's a fucking king. But he has to be called Lord, and because see, here's the thing: the reason he's still a Lord is because he didn't even know that his family was dead. He didn't know that Arathi had fallen, because it was still a kingdom. It was still a fucking kingdom when he was locked away on the other side of the Dark Portal 30 years ago. So he's been there. He's an old man now, and he comes back, and they gave him the most generic of all armor sets. They didn't even let him keep his armor set he had in Burning Crusade. No, they gave him the new Stormwind plate set that you get in your garrison in Warlords of Draenor, complete with the helmet. So he's standing there with a sword, with a Stormwind shield, a Stormwind tabard, and a Stormwind guard armor set, and even a Stormwind cloak that you get from the Stormwind Quartermaster. And you get maybe 2 minutes of interaction with Danath Trollbane, and it's like, look at all of this shit out there. This is what I have been standing guard against. Just look at it. All of the death, all the destruction, that's why I'm here. And you're like, okay, you're dressed like everyday normal dumbasses in Stormwind, but you're Danath Trollbane. We know some shit's going to go down. We know this is going to be amazing. He goes missing. I'll just read it for you. He apparently gets shot off by his griffin. I don't fucking know, because you don't see him again. And then look, it's all of a sudden Vrykul. Yes, Vrykul show up out of nowhere, and you can tell that there's no consensus on how they're supposed to sound. Now, if you want to know what a consensus is, look at the Vrykul that were in Wrath of the Lich King. They all have pretty generic voices. They all kind of sound like they should. In this, you have a female Vrykul who talks kind of like I do. Like she has this. She has an accent, but it's almost non-existent. So that's like the female Vrykul. And then you have the male lead Vrykul who talks like this. It's really it's a weird sounding accent, and it's strange. So that's what you're dealing with, and you're supposed to fight off this pit lord as a warrior, regardless of your spec, and it's not easier on any spec. It's about the same difficulty. Anyway, you're supposed to fight him off, and you do this stupid shit, and you kill the pit lord, and actually you don't kill him at the end. You kill one another, and then a Valkyr comes down and rescues you. And then look, you're in Valhalla, yay! And then Odin's there, and it's monochromatic as shit, and it's boring. And then thereafter, it's basically like the protection paladin for protection warriors. You go to the exact same tomb. You go there for I forget what other class it was, but anyway, you go there and you find an NPC and you get a sword and shield. It's okay. It's cool, whatever. Fury Warrior, you have to go to Stormheim, and it's the area where Helia is, right around there, and it's fucking terrifyingly difficult. I actually died more times doing that than I take it back. I died more times doing the Blood Death Knight. But yeah, the warrior thing is kind of a letdown so far, and I'm like, the whole time I'm wanting to know, where is Danath Trollbane? What happened to Danath? I want to know. I mean, is this very important lore character all of a sudden just not there, and why is he not there? But back to my whole.
Did they just not want to deal with his story because they were worried, it would interfere with Sylvanas and the Alliance and Forsaken things?
I don't know. I mean, I get that most people that play the game are probably not going to know who he is, but it's Danath Trollbane, god damn it. You shouldn't have, like, a minute and a half of interaction with him and then him disappear on you. There should be something, like, you should see, like, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, oh no, you go on without me, and then he's not there behind you anymore, and he's never brought up again. Never. And it's strange. But
He's just gone.
but my big issue with the Halls of Valor is that as a dungeon you get to go to more areas of it, and there is a place called I think it's Hall of the Eternal Hunt, and it's got some of the most genuinely beautiful scenery I've seen in the game.
Yeah. I mean, beautiful scenery is nice, but it's where's Danath? Like, what's happened?
Apparently, it doesn't matter where Danath is. I mean, but like I said, the halls of Valor is it's beautiful. It's beautiful when you get out of the monochromatic area where Odin is. I mean, it's like all gold and red and yellow and shit. And then you get to the Halls of Eternal Hunt. It's like it's this giant untouched forest. Like no hands of man have ever been there, and it's endless. There are mountains in the distance, and rivers and streams and dragons, and every animal on Azeroth is there, and it goes on and on and on. You can go there and hunt things forever. It's beautiful. But there's no Danath Trollbane.
It just needs Danath. And it'll be perfect. It will be perfect.
It really would be. It really, really would be. And like thinking about all the beautiful things that's in this, and there are some genuinely beautiful things in Legion right now. They're like, I mean, just some stuff that'll blow your mind with how beautifully it's done. I was actually riding around last night. Was it last night? Maybe, yeah, it was last night. And I just happened to come across. Well, no, it may have been not before. It didn't matter. Um, in the Paladin quest line, the spot where you go to find Tyrion Fordring,
Yeah.
you can get back there in the game. Like you can actually, it may take you a while to find it, but you can get back there. And I was riding around, just seeing what was out there. I was actually going towards the Eye of Ashara because I wanted to go down there and see it because it's actually an island, and you can ride there over the water, or you can swim if you want to. It doesn't matter, but you can still get there. But I was riding around, and I came across something that just kind of was astounding to me. If you go out towards the ocean, the skybox completely changes, and it's very, very different than anything else ever in World of Warcraft to me. Like it's like, okay, if you were to go to the darkest spot on Earth at night and look up, you'd see the middle of the Milky Way. That's kind of what you see on the Broken Isle. But about roughly where the transition for the skyboxes are at is where Icarus is. And I just sat there and looked at it for a while, and I took several screenshots, and I've got one on the screen right now for those of you at home watching. But this is what it looks like looking up from like the water or like a hunk of land on Ultra, looking up at Icarus, and you can't really see it in the distance in the picture, but you can see Dalaran from here in the shot. Well, you kind of can, but you can see Icarus, you can see Dalaran, and you can see uh, uh, the Tomb of Sargeras. And it's one of the seeing a still shot is one thing. Okay, it's like seeing a still shot of the halls of the of Halls of Valor or anywhere else. It's one thing to see a picture of it, but there is so much, like, for everything that's not moving, like all the trees and the water and everything. What you get out there, there is so much shit in the sky moving around, because of the skybox above the tomb is that big green portal thing that swirls. So like all the clouds are continuing to moving, and there's this pulse coming out from it, and there's lightning. And if you remember in Hellfire Peninsula, or even the Grand, the big energy beams in the sky. And I'm talking about Outland version here, not Warlord version, but the big energy beams that were in the sky. They're repeated here, except they're green. It's beautiful. It's fucking serene to be out there and look at all of this shit, And I know that all this was not just done to be there. You know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that Blizzard designed, Icarus to be above these little islands. But these little islands are things that you can't actually see. In fact, Icarus itself is not even on the map because it's hidden. It's not supposed to be there. That's the thing. When they teleported the entire Death Knight Order there, they specifically went to where they went because there was this mist around this little clump of islands. Like, it tells you this in the game. There's this little clump of islands, and there's mist around it, and you can't see anything there. So it was the fog, rather than not a mist, but they're hidden from the Legion and everybody else. So me finding Icarus there was a complete. I knew it was in that general area. I just hadn't ever seen it, and lo and behold, I came across it, and it's really interesting. And I know that at some point in time, someone who is putting this shit in the game is like, you know what? I'm gonna do something. Like, it's gonna be some little tiny Easter egg. So like the skyblock changing and everything else. To me, that goes back to the whole depth of what you'll find in the game. At least this expansion for sure. because it's I had the same feeling seeing this that I did like the very first time I ever went to Outland, and I actually rode around Outland uh like the mid to late 40s or so back during Burning Crusade because I had a port on the Shatrath, and I'm like, okay, I, I want to see this stuff, because the game world, uh, I couldn't fly obviously at one time, and you couldn't fly anywhere in the world, so you had to explore everything on foot. So here, this is the same thing. This is, and with Warlords, it was interesting to do it all on foot, but I didn't get that same feeling of sheer wonderment of being somewhere and looking around and seeing, something amazing. Like for example, one of my favorite screenshots I ever took, and I wish I could still find it. I swam. It took me like 2 hours to do this, but I swam to the very bottom of Tanaris, which used to have like a ring of mountains around it, and I swam down there at the very, very bottom tip of the world, and the picture was just me standing there up on like this one little bitty tiny sliver of land, looking out, and all you would see was ocean, and that made my day to do that. That was amazing to me to do something like that. Okay, so I love being able to run around and find these little things like that, like this for example, like being able to find Nocris there, and it just gave me that same sense that I had, that same feeling I had the very first time that I ever saw the Grand, because uh, the night I did this, I remember this. It was probably 6 o'clock in the morning before I even got any sleep, because I had been riding around Outland all night, going to see and do different things, and the majority of it was actually just sitting there in the ground, just watching the sky because it was so beautiful. And that's what I did last night when I found August, was just kind of sit there and just look at all this shit, because I know somewhere that someone at Blizzard is like, you know what, I don't know, but it's in the game because specifically because they wanted someone to see that, and it's wonderful to me to do that they did something like that.
I think one of my favorite moments from WoW was, I'm not sure if you remember this, but back during Mists of Pandaria, when we actually climbed a mountain together.
Yes, I remember that.
And it was just, it was so cool to climb the mountain, and we saw the dragons up, flying around up there, and it, it's part of the fun of WoW is just being able to explore and have these adventures, and just it's so much fun. It's so fulfilling. Like I remember back during, I think it was either Burning Crusade or Wrath, I actually climbed the mountain above Ironforge and reached the peak, and I had to look up a video on how to do it, and it was really hard for me to actually pull it off, but I climbed that mountain and I made it all the way to the top, and I had to do all these little tricks and things, and I love exploring. I love running around the world and seeing where I can go and all these little tiny Easter eggs that people left, and it's just so much fun.
So I found that screenshot, well, because I knew I had saved it. It's not. It's obviously not on the computer anymore because computers had to have the hard drive replaced. But I did have the picture on Facebook. So here's a memory for everybody out there of Nick and I. We're standing on top of. I don't remember the name. But it's in Kunlai, and of course you see the dragon in the background. Like, we rode up there and got all the way to the top. So, you know,
I think it's literally Kunai.
no, it has a
I think.
name. It has an actual name, but it's um
Hmm,
not
it's a mountain.
Mount
It's called a
Everest.
mountain.
That's it, Mount Everest.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think I don't remember. I have to look it up anyway. Yeah, it. but just stuff like this is entertaining, you know, and it's what the game is about. And that's kind of what this whole show has been getting at. There has been a lot of stuff in the game all these years that has meant a lot to a lot of people. Like, it's just these little tiny moments where, you know, you see something or you get a piece of loot or a specific quest or whatever, and it just gives you a feeling. And for a lot of players, especially Horde players, one of the most pivotal moments of the entire game, and one that I do not know a single Horde player who has ever not cried over, is Sylvanas becoming War Chief. I mean, like, that's something that people have wanted to see for as long as I can remember. And now we finally have Sylvanas as War Chief.
That's going to end horribly.
Yeah,
So far.
yeah, and just a heads up, that's where we're ending the show, with Sylvanas being War Chief. Like, that's the last thing I have to talk about.
You don't want to talk about how Ashbringer is the coolest weapon ever?
No, no. We're going to end with Sylvanas. Well, no, actually, one thing, like, one very important thing. I am definitely... Okay, I'm going to announce the candidate that I'm endorsing for president, okay? And, Nick, you don't get a say on this. I've already decided. We are going to endorse, Radio Tokyo officially endorses Leroy Jenkins as president for 2016. Let's do this.
I'm okay with that.
I said you don't get a say. You sit over there with your Ashbringer and you shut the hell up.
I mean,
Shut up, Nick.
Leroy would have an Ashbringer.
No, Leroy would not have the Ashbringer.
Yeah, he is. Hey,
No,
look, he's red.
no. Leroy is
red.
Leroy is a holy paladin.
He is red.
Leroy's a holy paladin.
He's red.
Leroy was a holy paladin. No paladins in vanilla were anything else for raiding, Nick.
No, there was always one red paladin because they needed them for Blessing of Kings.
All paladins had all blessings, Nick.
No, that's not true.
There was no red paladin. And I know that they had...
Yes,
and hang on. I know that they had all the blessings and all the specs. Because guess what I was? Guess what I was? I was Shakaden, which was primarily holy. Now, if you want to call Leroy something, you could... Yeah, hang on, goddammit. If you want to call Leroy something, if you really want to call him something, you could call... I would be okay with you calling him a Shakaden. But the reality is that the majority of his talents were put into holy, and he's referenced as a holy paladin in numerous sources. And the way that I know that that's what he is, other than being named that way, is because he was not Retribution. To be a Retribution paladin, you had to have the majority of your talents in that talent tree, okay? To be a Shakaden, you didn't. You only went down until you got Blessing of Kings. And I know this because that's what I did. But I wasn't a Retribution paladin.
Because as a follower, he's listed as a Retribution paladin.
He's a holy paladin.
Really? So World of Warcraft is wrong?
Okay, we have been over this before. He is in your garrison, and the garrison was all done by Ian Hazacostas. Are you wanting to say that Ian Hazacostas did the right thing, Nick?
About this? Yes. Yes, he did.
Nick, it's Ian Hazacostas. Are you sure about that? Are you sure you want to say that Ian Hazacostas was in the right? Think long and hard, Nick. Think long and hard, because I guarantee you, if Ian Hazacostas,
in the Leroy Jenkins video, they call him a Retribution paladin.
I guarantee you that if Ian Hezekiah burst into flames and his heart exploded in his chest and he died right now, we would not have a memorial service type thing. Like, we wouldn't be reading the final message that he posted on the show. We wouldn't have a picture of him on our Facebook page. No one would give a shit. In fact, I would probably go out and celebrate if Ian Hezekiah just ever
If
retired.
you watch the Leroy Jenkins video again, he is wielding the Doomsaw, and his shoulders are the spalders of valor.
No, sir. He
Those
is
are
wearing cloth shoulders. That was what they were there for. Keep in mind that this whole thing was a setup. He needed the holy shoulders. He needed the devout shoulders for his holy set because he was a healer.
Nope, he was a red paladin.
He was a healer. That was his thing.
He was
Because presumably, if they're in Upper Blackrock Spire, which at this point in time was a 10-man raid, then they were working on a raid. Now again, this was the setup. They wiped their raid intentionally to do this video, Nick. So if he's a paladin, there's no reason for him to be there because everyone had to heal because your tanks had to be warriors, and warriors at this only point in time had maybe 6,000 HP. They could be one-shot. That's why you had to have at least 4 tanks depending on your raid side. You had to have 2 main tanks and 2 off tanks. I remember this shit very well, even though I didn't play them and I played in Burning Crusade, but we still had to use the same basic raid setup in Burning Crusade. So you had a main tank and an off tank, and you had another main tank and another off tank. And the raid group was essentially 2 20-man raid groups, and you had a bunch of healing and everything, and everyone was a healer. If you could heal, you healed. You didn't have a druid tank. You didn't have whatever stupid shit people want to say you did. And if anyone who ever played in vanilla tells you that they played anything in a raid other than what they had to do, they're lying to you. They want you to feel good.
No, see, there were red paladins in vanilla because they needed them for Blessing of Kings.
Blessing
So
of Kings
there
was a
always-
talent, and you got it in your talent tree. All you had to do was talent appropriately, and you could get it.
No, only one person would talent for it, and that was the Retribution Paladin, because it was in the Retribution tree.
Do you know how I know that every paladin had access to it? Other than the mountain of evidence I've already provided, do you know how I know that you were able to get kings as every other spec without being that spec?
How?
Because you had to have it for the Charger quest line, and I did the Charger quest line not once, but twice. I did it on 2 separate paladins. I did it on 2 separate paladins, both of whom I still have. My original one, which was faction changed to Horde, and the second one, I did it on 2 separate paladins. You had to have Blessing of Kings for that shit, because there was no way you could do it without the extra boost at level 60. That's how I know, and I had it, because I had the talent for it. Because all the judgments and everything else wound up the same way.
They fixed it. You did it after they fixed it.
No, sir. No, sir. There was no fix applied to it. It remained in-game, untouched, until the end of Wrath of the Lich King. And I did it once in Burning Crusade. The second one was in Wrath of the Lich King.
I'm telling you, you had one Retribution Paladin for Blessing of Kings.
You had to talent for it. That's all. That's all.
But they were still Retribution Paladins.
He was a Shockadin, Nick, which would make him a holy paladin, because the only way you got to be a Shockadin was having Holy Shock, which was in the holy tree. That's what he was. It's okay for you to be wrong. He was, if you want to call him a Shockadin, that's fine. But his talents primarily would have been in holy. I know this because I know the gear he was wearing, because it's how you geared as a Shockadin.
There were Retribution Paladins back then. It's okay.
It's okay to be wrong,
world.
because trust me, he wouldn't have been.
It's a Retribution Paladin.
No.
Yes. It's okay. It's okay. Retribution paladins existed, and they were useful. Are we done? Hello?
Oh, I'm here. I'm actually Googling it because I know that I'm correct.
Here, I'll read this one post. Red Paladins in Vanilla spent like 30% of their time casting Blessing of Kings and raids. Many wore caster gear and healed when not blessing. DPS potential as a paladin was quite low at the time, and you probably contributed more as a healer even with suboptimal talent for it. But that still means that there was a red paladin. It was a red paladin.
It was a talent, Nick. Doesn't make that what you are because you have talents in there. It was a talent.
It's a red paladin. Leroy Jenkins, the face of all paladins, was a red paladin. And he would totally use the Ashbringer.
The original Leroy was located on the Laughing Skull server. As of January 2011, his character remained at level 70. He gained level 85 on February 27, 2011. By June 12, 2012, he had killed Deathwing. He does not have the Jenkins title. That's all that it says because Leroy no longer plays World of Ben Schultz is his real name. He no longer plays World of Warcraft. But trust me, since I'm the one that was fucking shocking him, I think I would know.
Threats.
Holy goddamn it! Holy! Ask anyone who played in vanilla and say what did you have to be to rate as a paladin? You may occasionally find someone say, well, we had a ret paladin. Well, how far did you get? Oh, molten core. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all you'd get to is molten core, because you couldn't progress any further than that, because it was a talent that you had to have. It was a talent in the retribution spec. The talent, and it was the only useful buff that you could have until they gave you Blessing of Might years later.
Don't care.
Look, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay that you're wrong, and that's fine. I completely respect. I completely respect that you're wrong. Okay, it's cool. It's okay.
You're wrong.
It's okay, Nick. It's okay. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe it. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Please visit our Patreon page. We're only asking for a $1 donation. Tweet to us or to me, because Nick's still being a retribution paladin and not giving me his Twitter information to post on here for everyone to see. And add me on BattleTag. And yeah.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day. 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
3 days?
Yeah, well, whatever it is.
2
Yeah,
days.
well, yeah, 2 days because it's Friday. We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back Monday.
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Monday night, Gotham comes back season 3. Be excited for that shit.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll talk to all of you then. Bye, everybody.